Guys, welcome back to Six Cars. So we're still in the US. We wrapped up WECFest in New Jersey, but we're not done just yet. We have one more stop to make while we're down here. If you guys remember last year, or post subscribers, and again, if you're not subscribed, please hit that button right now to stay up to date with everything Six Cars. But for those who were subscribed last year, you will remember we went to a friend's house, got the big castle, and every single year they organize a big show with a ton of hypercars and supercars. It's an absolute blast. So we're heading there right now. I know there's a ton of cool stuff that is showing up there, and it's going to be a blast, guys. So I'm going to flip the camera around, and the next clip you see will be at the castle and checking out a ton of hypercars. So let's get to it. And there you go, guys. We can obviously see the crowds there. We already know what's going on back there. So let's walk into the castle and check out the cars. Now, check out this Gunther Werks 993 Speedster. I can't remember if we saw this exact car back at Car Week, but what's obviously very interesting about these particular Gunther Werks is, well, full exposed carbon fiber, but have a look in the interior as well. Every single piece, I mean, except for the seat inserts and part of the dashboard trim, everything is carbon fiber, even right down to the wheels, all carbon fiber through to the barrel. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a far more like aggressive and hardcore car than the Singer Restomods. Like, the Gunther Werks have their own style that I think is quite unique, and honestly, I think this style suits me a little bit better than the Singers, but it's really to each their own. But this particular Gunther Werks with full exposed carbon fiber is just next level. Now, forgive me, I don't really know too much about this car. I think we skipped it back at Car Week. It was at the Quill, a Hispano Suiza. So it's an old brand that's kind of been revived. And honestly, this design, I can definitely say this is one of a kind. I've never seen anything that looks quite like this. It's a acquired taste, I will call it, because look at the back of this. I think the rear wing, probably the most interesting part. It's almost like a bird with its wings open. That's the best way I can sort of describe it. It's kind of hard to get down there with the diffuser, and the lights are a pretty interesting design as well. But this is one of the wildest things I've ever seen. We've obviously got the two Ageras over here as well, almost identical spec. So we've got an XS that's kind of a matching spec to the orange one we saw back at Car Week, with just a different color. And over here, of course, we have the world record setting top speed Agera RS. Beside that, we also have the white and blue carbon Agera as well. So the Car Week crew is back, and there is, of course, the Jesko Absolute. So once again, this car goes more for the top speed compared to the Jesko Attack, which is more track focused. That's why you don't have that big GT wing. This one's obviously much more streamlined and aerodynamic for reaching those top speeds, and that's why you also have these McLaren Speedtail-esque covers over the rear wheels. So plenty of good Koenigsegg content here. Now, here is one of my all-time favorite Ferraris, the SA Aperta. So I would say it's essentially a convertible 599 GTO. They're incredibly rare, only 80 of these in the world. I've not seen this particular one before either. The color, it's not the Argento Nürburgring or the Grigio Silverstone, I believe, or maybe it is, but it looks like there's a bit of brown to it as well. It's a bit of an interesting color choice, but it works really well on this brown interior. What looks to be like slightly orange accents running throughout the stitching, and obviously the horse on the headrest. But man, what an absolutely lovely car here. That is probably one of my top picks so far here at the castle. Now, speaking of orange accents, we do have a Vanquish Zagato Volante. So I think it's 1 of 99 in the grand total, but obviously finished in a nice pumpkin orange, which it's a pretty bold color choice. You don't really see this on too many Aston Martins, but on this particular one, I think it works because Zagatos are obviously a lot more outlandish. But one of the coolest features I do like, and we can obviously see a lot better here since it's the drop top Volante, is all of the Zagato Zs that are stitched right through the seat. And of course, it's color matched orange as well to match the exterior. Got the Zagato Z right in the headrest too. The orange stitching goes right through to the steering wheel. It is a great looking car. Now, of course, we see the McLaren Senna over there, but this one right here, we have seen on the channel before, but I'll point out again the McLaren Sabre because it is so incredibly rare. Just a handful of these were made for the US market only. So obviously it's incredibly extreme looking car. It's vastly different from any other McLaren in terms of its appearance, but you can obviously see it almost looks like there's a bit of McLaren Elva at the front, but then there's these wild looking body panels that are finished in full carbon fiber that are stuck right onto the side. You have this huge shark fin that goes all the way to the back of this massive rear wing. And I do love all these tiny little holes poked in the back here for that extra cooling. It's a nice little touch, and once again, it just makes the car so much more unique. You obviously have these little tiny Senna windows as well. As you can see, the Senna has them down over there, whereas the Sabre has them up. But you can see they obviously are pretty much exactly the same in that aspect, but very different looking cars. Now, we did see this Ford GT roll up with a handful of others, as well as the Diablo and the Countach over there, but this is the one that obviously sticks out the most because, of course, it has that Gulf livery. It is a OG Heritage Edition. Now, the new Ford GTs have a ton of different heritage editions for all their famous race cars, but the Gulf one on the OG 2000s Ford GT, that is the true original heritage edition. Man, just looks so good. I've always loved these color match orange wheels to accent the orange stripe as well. The Diablo and the Countach obviously great. That is a 25th anniversary Countach over there. We have a Spyker in front of us. We've got Tim or Shmee's GT in front of us here, which I don't think we saw too much of it back at Car Week, to be honest, but great looking spec. I know you guys have seen a ton of this car online already, but it's cool to see it in the flesh as always, and nice to see it making an appearance here at the castle. So we're in front of the Spyker here, and the owner was very kind to show me the key, which is actually incredibly unique. I've never seen a key that looks like that before. I've never seen a Spyker key in general, and this is apparently a 1 of 500 Spyker watch. I had no idea that existed either, but it's a great pairing with the car. And if you look inside the Spyker, it's probably my favorite part of the car. The interior is so incredibly unique. There's so many interesting gadgets. It's honestly like a ship, and there's a bit of like Pagani-ness in there as well. It's just such a cool and unique car, and it's always good to see a Spyker out in the flesh. Got the purple Revuelto pulling in now too. That is obviously really the first hybrid flagship V12 for Lamborghini, and I think it's the first time I've actually seen it moving in E-mode as well. Now take a look at the McLaren Senna here, because the spec did kind of fool me. There's multiple different colors going on. So you've almost got like a satin, like bluish purple here, but if you look inside, also got some gloss blue accents as well. It kind of matched the center caps on this Senna. But if you go inside, thank you Drive with Roy, stealing the thunder here. If we look inside, there's different blues in the interior as well. So you got light blue inserts on the seats. The backings are blue carbon fiber, but then you have dark blue carbon fiber in the middle. You also have blue seat belts, which is just remarkable. And you even have blue Alcantara on the steering wheel with silver accents. What a crazy spec. Even the wing struts are finished in that dark purpley blue. That is a beautiful Senna. Obviously a great collection of Paganis here as well, specifically Huayras. Now the owner has multiple different Huayras in the collection, and one of the coolest ones is Big Bird here. It's the yellow Roadster with the blue carbon fiber. Pretty contrasting colors, but it works so damn well. And honestly, in person, it's one of the coolest Huayra specs I've ever seen. The blue carbon fiber on those immaculate side mirrors looks fantastic. You can see even behind the steering wheel throughout the whole dashboard, you also have that same blue carbon fiber. You've got blue seats with yellow stitching inside. We've got a great Huayra BC here in blue. We've got the dark red Huayra BC over there with the tricolore stripes. It's similar if you guys look up the Zonda 760 Phantasma. It's a very similar spec to that. Obviously, it looks great with the dark red carbon fiber, which sort of matches the launch spec Utopia Roadster that we saw back at the Quill. So we'll take another look at that. So yeah, let's just have another look at the Utopia Roadster, because honestly, it was mod back at the Quill. Bit less people here, so you can get a cleaner look at the open top version of the new Utopia hypercar. Now, one thing I didn't really pay attention to before is the interesting new side mirrors. They are a pretty radical design, and compared to the Huayra, you can see the obvious difference. So the Utopia has gone for a completely new look on these side mirrors. Almost looks much more mechanical, and I would have to say more like analog, which really fits obviously the interior styling of this car. They're really throwing it old school with some of these designs. I'm not even sure what you want to call it, but either way, so Pagani has definitely gone a bit back in time, which is honestly pleasing a lot of customers, including myself. And it still has the AMG V12 in the back. We've got the red carbon fiber, which I mentioned before. It looks fantastic. What a car. We've also got the Bugatti lineup here. Of course, the Jacob & Co. Chiron Super Sport. That beautiful blue and white spec. Just get up close to it again. I know we saw it a lot at Car Week, but it's always good to see it again. everything is pretty much two-tone, even right through the interior. And we see that beautiful two-tone blue and white steering wheel, and even the Jacob & Co logo stitched into the headrest. It's such a good looking car. Beside that, we have the double pair of Chiron Extremes. You got the Extreme Pure Sport, and we have the Extreme Super Sport as well, and pretty much matching specs. So obviously the blue with the blue stripes, and here we have the black with the red stripes. Of course, full carbon bodies. Now, it's interesting, I don't think I showed this before, but the stripes actually fade back into the body paint, which is really interesting. And what's even more interesting than that is this is just painted. The stripes are only painted, but the back is carbon fiber, so you're fading from paint to carbon. I can't even imagine how long it would have taken to do something like that, but it's really a remarkable spec. And beside that, I mean, obviously the EB110, absolute legend, and really the grandfather of modern Bugatti hypercars. Always good to see those. We've seen a few more popping up recently on the channel. Of course, there was, I think, about 4 in Car Week, and always good to see them. And the doors are opened up here quickly. You have a look at the classic interior. Yeah, not what you're used to seeing on Veyrons and Chirons. Obviously, times have changed quite a bit, but it's cool to see a bit of the Bugatti evolution there. Now, let me show you guys outside of the house as well, because there's plenty of things that aren't in the back that are just equally as cool, like this Countach. I didn't even realize there was 2 of them, so apologies we missed that when I was rolling up the hill, but hey, another Countach is always good. Behind that, we also have the Eccentrica Diablo, which I know we looked at back in 2023 Car Week. 2024, there was so much going on. I think we only really got to see it once, but this is a new spec compared to the older one we saw back in 2023. This one's finished in a really dark purple, which looks fantastic. Now, the cool thing is this does have like pop-up headlights, which, yes, you would think regulations don't really allow this anymore, but this is a pretty unique feature. From what I learned in 2023, it looks like you can actually control the pop-ups through an app on your phone. It's incredibly cool. And hey, man, this car is just remarkable. I'm loving all of these new Restomods we're seeing. I think the Eccentrica Diablo is probably one of the best of the bunch too. I mean, just have a look at it, and it sounds so damn good. I know they've reworked the gearbox too and changed the exhaust to just modify the original car and just make everything that much better. I also love those new roof intakes there. I'm not sure if that was on the first version of the Eccentrica that we saw, but either way, it's just a lovely car, and kudos on that new purple spec. We do have a couple more Revueltos out here as well, so obviously these are finally starting to pop up in North America. I'm still undecided on the design, but it's still a V12 Lamborghini. They're obviously extremely cool. I was a big fan of the Aventador, so that still has a pretty special place in my heart. But hey, the Revuelto, I think, is a very interesting looking car. Definitely has sort of like a fighter jet design to it, especially with this like matte gray paint that this one has with the carbon fiber accents. I do quite like this spec, and obviously it's a pretty bold car for Lamborghini. As we saw the purple one roll in to the back, it does have that new hybrid V12 system, which is something that is pretty new for Lamborghini. But there is the tried and tested Aventador, obviously pretty modified, that one, but just such a great looking car. This is, of course, the LP700, so the first generation, not the S or the Ultima or anything like that. The original Aventadors are great. There are a couple other iterations here. We've got the S, we've got the SV in a great spec, and we've got the SVJ 63 edition in yellow and blue to match the owner's Huayras Roadster as well. Great looking car. There you go, guys, the proud owner of every single car here. What a party. All right, guys, as you can see, everything is starting to roll out here at the castle. So we're gonna get some very cool driving footage of all of these hypercars rolling out onto the road. And there you go. No car trip to Connecticut is really complete without a quick stop on Greenwich Avenue. And there you go. Nice Huracan STO in Gulf Blue to finish off the day.